Hello there and welcome. You found your way to calm, boring, sleepy history, a quiet corner of the past where time moves gently, like water lapping against ancient stone. Tonight we drift back to the sunlit villas and shadowed bathhouses of ancient Rome, a world of marble columns, flickering oil lamps, and the soft rituals of daily hygiene. This is not the Rome of legions or grand orations. No, we wander through the private moments of emperors and commoners alike, where cleansing was a slow, deliberate dance of care and order. We'll move through 4 peaceful chapters tonight. First, we'll immerse ourselves in the daily hygiene of ordinary Romans, where water and oil met skin in quiet repetition. Then we'll linger with Emperor Hadrian, whose personal rituals were as measured as his empire. We'll pause to explore the hidden culture of the strigil, a simple tool that carried profound meaning. Finally, we'll draw back the curtain on the elite, whose lavish baths contrasted with the humble routines of the poor. Let your thoughts slow. The rhythm of Rome was steady, unhurried, and so too will be our journey. Let's begin. Imagine yourself in a Roman city at dawn, perhaps Ostia or Pompeii, where the air smells of baked bread, olive oil, and the faint tang of sea salt carried on the breeze. The streets are narrow, their stones worn smooth by centuries of sandals. Fountains murmur at every corner, fed by aqueducts that stretch like veins across the empire. This is the world where most Romans lived and cleansed themselves not with haste, but with a quiet, almost sacred routine. For ordinary Romans, hygiene was a shared act, woven into the fabric of daily life. Homes were modest brick tenements or small villas with no private baths. Water came from public fountains, carried in clay jugs by women or children, its weight heavy on the shoulder, its surface rippling with each step. In the dim light of a cramped room, a family might gather around a single basin, washing faces with a coarse linen cloth, the water cool and unadorned. Cleansing began simply. Olive oil pressed from local groves was rubbed into the skin, not for luxury, but necessity. In a world without soap, oil lifted dirt and sweat, its faint, nutty scent mingling with the morning air. A strigil, a curved bronze tool, scraped the oil away, taking with it the grime of the day before. The motion was slow, deliberate, like a painter's brush across canvas. No one rushed. To be clean was to be presentable, to carry oneself with dignity, even if one's tunic was patched and faded. Hair was combed with bone or wooden combs, shared among family, their teeth worn smooth from years of use. Teeth were cleaned with a rag dipped in ash or crushed bone, the taste chalky but familiar, followed by a rinse of mint-infused water. These acts were not grand, but they were constant, a rhythm as steady as the Tiber's flow. A woman might braid her hair tightly before market. A man might scrub his hands before breaking bread, each gesture a small declaration of care. Bathing for most meant a visit to the thermae, the public bathhouses open to all for a small coin. These were not daily for the poorest, weekly, perhaps, or less in lean times. Families walked together, carrying clean tunics, their sandals slapping against stone. The thermae were alive with voices, yet there was order. The apoditerium for undressing, the tepidarium for warming, the caldarium for steaming, the frigidarium for cooling. Each room had its purpose, each step its place. Water splashed softly, steam curled like a sigh, and the air smelled of heated stone and burning herbs. Latrines, too, were public stone benches with keyhole-shaped holes, set side by side with no partitions. A sponge on a stick, soaked in vinegar, was shared among users, rinsed in a stream of water beneath. The air was heavy, but incense burned nearby, its smoke weaving through the chatter. These moments, though unglamorous, were part of the rhythm necessary, unremarkable, human. As evening fell, the day's work done, Romans returned to their routines. A quick rinse of hands and face, perhaps a final comb through hair, prepared them for sleep. In small homes, oil lamps flickered, casting shadows on rough walls. The act of cleansing was a pause, a moment to shed the city's dust and settle into rest. It was not dramatic, but comforting, like the steady drip of a fountain or the rustle of leaves in a courtyard. Hygiene, like life, moved slowly, deliberately, binding each day to the next. Let us pause here by a fountain's edge, where a woman pours water into a jug, her hands steady, her eyes catching the first light of morning. The city hums softly around her, and the day, like her routine, unfolds without haste. Now we shift our gaze to a quieter figure, one whose life was both grand and restrained, Emperor Hadrian, whose hygiene rituals mirrored the order he brought to his empire. Publius Aelius Hadrianus Augustus ruled from 117 to 138 CE, a time when Rome turned inward, seeking stability rather than conquest. A builder, a poet, a traveler, Hadrian lived with purpose, and his daily care was no exception. Picture his Villa Adriana at Tivoli, a sprawling retreat east of Rome, where olive groves whisper in the breeze and marble glints under dawn's first light. Hadrian wakes slowly, his chamber cool, its walls painted with scenes of gods and gardens. A servant parts linen curtains, letting pale gray light spill across the mosaic floor. A bronze basin, etched with laurel leaves, holds rainwater collected overnight. Hadrian washes his face, the cloth soft against his skin, its faint scent of herbs grounding him for the day. His beard, a nod to the Greek philosophers he admired, is combed with a bone-handled tool, its strands oiled with a blend from Hispania, his ancestral home. The oil's earthy warmth lingers as a servant applies it to his skin, followed by the strigils' gentle scrape. Hadrian, fit from years of walking and riding, bears the faint scars of travel, his body a map of the empire he roamed. Nails are filed with pumice, hands soaked in rosemary water, each act a ritual of balance in a life weighed by rule. Dressed in a tunica of undyed wool, its edges embroidered with gold, Hadrian walks the villa's peristyle, where dew clings to marble columns. A boy brings figs, cheese, and watered wine, sipped slowly as he gazes at mist-draped hills. Before entering the cubicula publica to hear petitions, he washes his hands in lavender-scented water, dabbing myrrh behind his ears not for vanity, but decorum, a silent signal of his station. The day unfolds with letters from distant provinces, discussions with Greek scholars, plans for walls in Britannia. Yet hygiene punctuates these duties. At midday, Hadrian enters the Balnea, his private bathhouse, its dome filtering sunlight into golden pools. In the caldarium, steam wraps him like a cloak, loosening the weight of empire. He lies in the tepidarium, the air warm and still, thoughts drifting to poetry or architecture. The frigidarium, his cold plunge, sharpens his senses, the water clear as crystal. Evening brings a supper of lentils, eggs, and bread dipped in oil, eaten in a room open to the breeze. Hadrian writes letters, perhaps a verse his quill scratching papyrus. His hands, ink-stained, are washed with lemon balm and vinegar. His beard is smoothed. The strigil rests. As he lies back, lamps cast shadows of laurel leaves on the walls, their flames fading into silence. Hadrian sleeps, his breath even, his body clean, part of the ancient rhythm that binds emperor to mortal. As we leave his villa, imagine the soft glow of lamps, the distant chirr of crickets, the Tiber flowing unseen. Hadrian, like Rome, rests, his rituals complete, his day folded gently into night. Let us now turn to something quieter still, a hidden practice that shaped Roman hygiene from beneath the surface, the strigil, a simple tool that carried the weight of culture and care. Picture a small bronze instrument, its curve smooth as a crescent moon, its handle worn from use. In every Roman bathhouse, from the grand thermae to the humblest villa, the strigil was a constant, a silent partner in the act of cleansing. The strigil was not just a scraper, but a symbol of Roman life. Before its use, olive oil was applied to the skin, its warmth softening muscles and lifting dirt. The strigil followed, drawn across the body in long, deliberate strokes, removing oil, sweat, and grime. The act was intimate, yet communal, performed by slaves in the baths or by oneself at home. Its soft scrape, like wind through reeds, was a sound as familiar as footsteps or laughter. In the thermae, bathers carried their own strigils, often hung on leather straps or tucked into cloth bags. Some were plain, others ornate, bronze inlaid with silver, handles carved with vines or dolphins. Wealthy Romans might gift strigils to friends, their surfaces etched with names or blessings. In poorer homes, a single strigil served a family, passed from hand to hand, its edge dulled but effective. Archaeologists have found strigils in graves, baths, and ruins, their metal tarnished but intact. In Pompeii, preserved by ash, they lie beside combs and oil flasks, whispering of daily routines. Some bear inscriptions, names, dedications, or playful mottos. One, found in a soldier's kit, reads, "Cleanse and endure," a quiet testament to the Roman ideal of discipline through hygiene. The strigil's meaning went beyond function. It was a ritual of renewal, a way to shed the day's burdens. In the baths where senators and laborers stood side by side, the strigil leveled them, if only for a moment. Its use was a conversation without words, a shared act that bound Romans to their city and each other. Yet mysteries linger. Did the shared oil or tools spread illness? The Romans, unconcerned, saw only the clarity it brought. Imagine a young man in a crowded thermae, his strigil in hand, scraping oil from his arm as steam curls around him. Across the room, a woman does the same, her movements slow, her thoughts her own. The strigil connects them, a silent thread in the tapestry of Rome. As they leave, their skin glows faintly, their steps lighter, carrying the bathhouses calm into the world. The strigil fades from view, but its echo remains, like the ripple of water in a quiet pool, or the memory of a touch long gone. Now we ascend marble steps into the villas of the elite, where hygiene was not just care, but a performance of power. Picture a Roman senator's home, its atrium open to the sky, rainwater pooling in a stone basin. Aqueducts feed private baths, their mosaics shimmering with fish and waves. The air smells of myrrh and polished cedar, and every surface gleams with wealth. For the elite, hygiene was daily, even hourly. Servants brought warmed water, scented oils, and linen towels softer than clouds. Private balnea offered solitude, unlike the crowded thermae. Here, a patrician might bathe once at dawn, once before dinner, his skin oiled with imports from Egypt, scraped with an ivory-handled strigil. Mirrors of polished silver reflected faces smoothed by care, while glass vials held perfumes of frankincense or styrax, their scents lingering like a signature. Latrines were private, too, with clay pipes draining to the cloaca maxima. Servants burned incense, ensuring no odor marred the air. Clothing togas of fine wool, tunics dyed with rare purple, was changed often, each fold a statement of status. Hygiene was a display, a way to set the elite apart from the masses, whose skin bore the city's dust. Contrast this with the poor, who lived in insulae, rickety tenements, where families shared a single room. Water came from fountains, carried up creaking stairs in heavy jugs. Bathing was weekly, done with cold water and sand, the strigil a shared, battered tool. Public latrines, with their stone benches and shared sponges, were their only option, the air thick with flies and incense. Chamber pots, emptied into streets, mingled with rain and waste. The city sent a constant reminder of their place. Yet both worlds shared the rhythm of hygiene. The poor washed faces at dawn, combed hair before market, scrubbed hands before meals. Their tools were coarse, their water cold, but the act was the same, a quiet assertion of dignity. Rome's aqueducts and fountains served all, but access was unequal. The cloaca maxima drained the city, yet the poor bore the labor of fetching water, their routines fragile against drought or hardship. Archaeology reveals this divide. Elite tombs hold silver strigils and perfume vials, while poorer graves yield simple combs or worn blades. In the thermae, rich and poor met, their differences softened by steam and water. A senator might stand beside a laborer, their strigils moving in unison, their skin cleansed by the same ritual. Hygiene was a thread binding Rome's layers, from marble villas to muddy alleys. Picture a night in Rome, the elite retiring to silk-draped beds, their skin fragrant, their lamps burning low. In an insula, a family shares a final basin, their hands dipping into cool water, their voices soft. The city grows quiet, its fountains still, its baths cooling. Hygiene, like sleep, unites them in a rhythm older than empire. And so the slow rituals of Roman hygiene draw to a quiet close. From the sunlit villas of emperors to the crowded thermae of the masses, from the strigil's gentle scrape to the elite's perfumed baths, the rhythm was deliberate, unhurried, steeped in care. Hygiene in Rome did not rush, it flowed, like water through an aqueduct, steady and enduring. As you rest now, think of how different the pace was. No hurried showers, no fleeting routines. Only the soft splash of water, the glow of oil lamps, the rustle of linen in a quiet villa. Hygiene was grown carefully, like vines along a trellis, each act a step toward renewal. It took time, and in that time lives unfolded in patterns of repetition, subtle gestures, and quiet dignity. Tonight you've wandered through courtyards heavy with olive scent, peeked into bathhouses alive with steam, stood beside Hadrian as he washed his hands, and paused with a laborer by a fountain's edge. All shared the same slow dance, a careful cleansing, a gentle preparation for rest, the comfort of routine. It's peaceful to imagine a world where hygiene was measured not in haste but in care, where to pause was to honor the body. That steady rhythm might feel unfamiliar today, but here in the hush of history it becomes soothing, like the drip of a fountain at dusk. As you lie still, the past settles softly around you. The voices fade, the lamps dim, the water stills, and in the silence that remains there is only calm. Thank you for letting this story keep you company. Sleep well, and may your dreams move at the gentle, steady pace of a Roman bathhouse long ago.